Why is it so hard to find the perfect string? What's going on? It's Jason Heath, and for the past 6 months or so, I've been playing on Perpetual strings, and I've been liking them, but I'm gonna be upfront here. They are not the string for me, probably. I am not their target audience. I love everything that Perpetual has made. Perpetuals are definitely a lot closer to spiracores than I am used to. I tend to play on Perpetual Permanence or Perpetual Flexicore Deluxe or D'Addario Kaplan, and I'm going back and finally playing some orchestral music with the San Francisco Symphony in a couple weeks. So I thought, all right, these strings are a little bit on the bright side for me, and I want to blend in. But it got me curious about thinking about other strings I've used in the past, and I thought that I would put on some D'Addario Zyex strings here today and do an A-B comparison between the Perpetuals and the Zyex. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep those Zyex on, frankly, for the San Francisco Symphony either. So in today's video, we're going to check out how Perpetuals compare to Zyex. All right, these are the Perpetuals, and just some thoughts 6 months in. I like them. They have not mellowed like I thought they might, and now that's pretty sweet for pizzicato. Really nice ring. Harmonics that ring forever. And unlike some other strings I've tried where they'll be a bit bright but then they settle in, these have really retained that bright quality. I actually kind of like the way they sound in this bass, but they're just a little bit crunchier under the bow. For me, they grab, but particularly the E string. You hear that sort of bright sound. It's been that way for the last 6 months, and you hear I'm kind of fracking those notes a little bit. I mean, cool sound, great core sound, but I'm just not sure that they're going to blend in so well into the bass section. So I'm going to pop them off, and I highly recommend, by the way, picking up one of these drill bit string winders. I will link up in the description below to this one, and it actually fits my double bass pegs very awesome. Let's get these strings off. All right, we got the Zyex on, and by the way, this string crank drill bit kind of thing is super cool. There are a few things to watch out for. You can do some damage if you're not careful. If you want to see a video on that at some point, leave a comment below. It's very interesting getting these Zyex strings on my bass. I've been giving them a proper practice to let them break in a little bit. They're not brand new, but I only had them on for like a month or so, and I have grown, I think, a bit as a player since having these on. I did not have a great reaction to these when I first put them on my bass. I think 5 years ago was the first time I tried Zyex, though these are a newer set. Actually, there are some things that I remember being awesome about these strings, but there were also some things that made me think they are just not usable for the type of playing I'm doing. But having played around with a lot of different strings, I filmed a couple courses on some spiracores in 2020. I've been playing on these Perpetuals, and those are all brighter strings, a little more pizzicato oriented. These are synthetic core. Zyex is the material. It kind of looks like dolls here. I actually did a tour of the D'Addario factory about 3 years ago or so and got to see these being made, and they're synthetic gut strings essentially. So they have a lot of interesting characteristics. I guess I'll start pizzicato. So here we are, G string, D, A, and now I did not get a long E string Zyex, so I put on an old Kaplan long E string, so C string. So this is hilariously. Now, that's going to be more of an advantage with the bow, but it definitely sounds like I have a mute on my bass. So we got, again. You can barely even hear that E string. So it's got that bright sort of, here's where I get into culinary terminology, so sorry, but that bright sort of peppery kind of zing to the attack that I really find attractive in this type of string. Wow, very fun to play. Now, some interesting things. It feels like gut, but also very bright under the bow. And these are not brand new strings again, but we got... and that hilarious Kaplan muted E string. I think this is actually probably appropriate for a lot of the playing I do, so we'll see. I may very well pull all these off before my gig. The sustain on these is incredible. I mean, let me just play a harmonic. Wow, still going. I was thinking about using these for a solo recital back in 2017, and I ended up chickening out and just putting Kaplan's back on. But, you know, coming back to these strings, having a few years of using different strings, I really find something attractive about the tone quality. And boy, under the left hand, they feel wonderful. It might be one of my favorite strings I've played recently, under the left hand. There's this kind of give to them. Soft might be the wrong word for something that's wrapped in metal, but there's just this really nice pliability to the string under the left hand that I find really attractive. But they still speak relatively well with the bow, and I find that closed notes really speak well, and you can get a bright sound, you can get a more muted sound. They're very responsive. Now, I have tuned these things up so much, they really stretch out. And I remember using them before and having that same experience. That does not happen to me for Kaplans. That did not happen with the Perpetuals. They basically just were right in the pocket, and I didn't have to keep doing that. I've turned these, I don't even know how many times at this point. But the open strings are a little bit dicey. That is quite the sound. And again, I'm kind of fracking some of these. Frack, frack. There we go, got it. Okay, that's not a good ratio. And that's where the dampening agents and the Kaplan strings really help me as an arco player, predominantly arco player. So we're gonna have to see with these. There's also just a little bit of an unusual, for me, steel string, steel core oriented kind of player. There's like a blossoming effect to these strings, and I don't not like it. But particularly in the lower register, it doesn't quite, I almost feel like the pitch is a little variable if I add more bow weight or lighten up, and it seems to be a little more responsive to the left-hand touch. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to keep these on for at least a week or so and play around with them. Let's just do a little bit of A/B testing between these Zyex and those Perpetuals. that's a look at Perpetuals and Zyex strings. I enjoyed them both. If you want to learn more about strings, check out this video we've got linked up. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.